Yeah, it's much better. Hey, well, guys, welcome to the MSI Road to MOA show with myself, Trouffman, and our two guests from the other side of the world.
Hey guys, this is Tim from OCTV, of course, and Peter today, which is our guest for this third show of the Road to MOA. So as you guys know, the Road to MOA show is a show about the MSI overclocking competition, which is basically what it means, MOA. And today we have here Peter from HWBOT that is going to help us to go through the scores of the EMEA qualifiers that just ended yesterday evening. So Trouffman, how's it going?
It's going great. Actually, it's fine to be here. I'm live from Montreal, and you guys are live from Cologne, if I'm right, in Germany.
Yes, that's it. We are here in Germany for the Gamescom, and so the Gamescom, for those of you that might not know, it's the largest gaming convention in Europe. Those guys have like 200 to 300,000 gamers coming here for a whole week of just gaming goodness. So new releases of game. Cool stuff to see, exciting activities and all that kind of stuff.
So today the live is about the MSI MOA. The MOA is the Master Overclocking Arena. That's the 2014 editions. That's actually the 7th editions in a row. This show is specifically dedicated about the EMEA qualifiers. So what is the EMEA qualifiers, Timothy and Peter?
So, well, basically, MOA this year is divided in a different class of qualifiers, exactly like last year, actually. And so Class A EMEA finished yesterday. And this EMEA means Europe and Middle East and Africa region. So those were the qualifiers that ended yesterday. And MSI was offering tickets for the worldwide finals through that qualifier. So Peter here on my left, which is regulating all the competitions at HWBOT, pretty much oversaw this whole final process of the qualifiers. He went yesterday with the competition judges at HWBOT through the scores and made sure all the scores were valid.
You were the master judge.
That's correct. Christian and Roman in particular were very active checking the results. I think especially Christian deserves a lot of credit for the work he does at HWBOT, validating not just the competition results, but all the results on HWBOT.
Okay.
All the reported results, I must say.
Yeah.
All of them.
Okay. So,
but what is this competition? We're talking about this for like this our third show, but this competition has been running for quite some time. But what is the final goal of these competitions?
Well, the final goals of MOA, right, is to win, to be crowned as the best overclocker on MSI computer equipment, which is MSI motherboards and MSI graphics card.
Indeed, and the thing is, after that, you're gonna be the best one, and you can get invited to next year, and so on and so on. Let's check the trailer for this special event, and we come back in right after.
All right, so before we go through the EMEA qualifier result details, let's quickly recap who is MSI and what the MOA is all about. So MSI is a computer equipment brand, and basically what those guys are doing, they're manufacturing graphics cards, motherboards, all those products that your computer needs to play and play games or just run things. MSI is also known in the gaming world for sponsoring the Fnatic gaming team. So this is probably a brand you have been seen around. Trouffman, so we were talking about the MOA as a competition. What is the purpose of a competition such as the MOA?
So as you say, it's the to find out who is the best overclocker in the world, and for that there is actually a few qualifiers online, and these qualifiers run on a few different countries, as you can see on the screen now. There is Class A and Class B. The two classes are actually two different requirements, but you all compete in the same competition at the end. Class A is usually like the top high-end hardware you want to use for this competition, and Class B is more open to anyone. As well as Class A is usually locked to some countries. America was finishing during our last show. EMEA is finishing today, so we're gonna announce all the winner in today. APAC is still going, and Class B is worldwide, and we will be talking a bit more about that in this show, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So there's different regional qualifiers going all around the world for a period of 3 months. We just finished the EMEA qualifiers, and APAC, like you said, is still running until end of August, and that will be our next meeting actually for the upcoming show. So what to expect from those qualifiers? Well, basically every overclocker qualifying for Class A, for example, needs to compete on Z97 Intel platform hardware from MSI. They also have to use the 290X graphics cards and different. So all this is actually very high-end hardware, right, Trouffman? It's something that it's actually an investment to compete in Class A. It's not something you could do with hardware that you have from the last year.
Of course not. If you want to compete in Class A and to win one of the 4 tickets for America, 6 tickets for EMEA, or 5 tickets for APAC, you need to use a Z97 mainboard from MSI. You need to use one CPU that is available on the retail market. You also need to use one of the graphic cards from the R9 290, the R9 series from AMD. Most of the guys will be using the R290X Lightning from MSI. Although you have to run a few benchmarks, that's usually SuperPi 32M, Unigiant Heaven benchmark, although at 3D Mark 03. That's for Class A, but Class B, it's much more easier. You can use Z97 or Z87 mainboard. So
Z87 is hardware from last year, for example?
Yes, indeed. And the new, I'm gonna say that for the Class B, you can use either the new one or the one from last year, the Z87, or the from last year, or the Z97 from this year. You need to use the G3258 CPU, so that's the Intel Pentium anniversary. The CPU is extremely cheap. It's like 70 to 80 Canadian or US dollars. Actually, in this show, we will show you how to overclock this CPU from 3.2 gigahertz to over 4 gigahertz, and it's very easy. You will see that in the next few minutes in this show. As well as you need to use a GTX 750 graphic card. So that's actually, although less requirement in terms of amounts of money you need to spend on the hardware to get qualified.
All right, so before we let's take a quick break, and then we can actually unveil the results of the EMEA qualifiers.
MSI, leading the game. MSI not only provides gamers the ultimate gaming gear, but also fulfills the passion to achieve their ultimate ambitions. In 2009, MSI initiated the Top Player, Top Choice sponsorship program and has now sponsored more than 10 highly recognized professional esports teams worldwide. MSI Beat It is a world-famous gaming tournament for gamers to polish their gaming skills and let them stand out on the global stage. With the spirit of Dragon Army, MSI ensures that gamers not only have the best, but the future of gaming in the palm of their hands. Gaming Motherboard. gaming notebook. Gaming graphics card. Gaming all-in-one PC. Gaming barebone. MSI is committed to producing the most innovative hardcore performance hardware, enabling the ultimate computing experience for gamers. Top player, top choice.
All right, so now that we have pretty much introduced what is MOA and what were the EMEA qualifiers about, I suggest that, Peter, we go over who participated in that competition. So there were 16 participants, actually 17. There was one participant that had to be removed just to invalid scores.
Mm-hmm.
So in total, 16 participants and about eight to nine, actually nine nations represented. So who was participating in this?
Well, there's 16 people is a bit too much to sum up, but there was a lot of big names actually entering this qualifier. Yeah. Vivi and Extreme Addict to name two. They've been into scene for a long time, and both of them were actually participating in last year's competition as well. Extreme Addict actually won another live competition last year as well. And then you had Dan Kopp, Giorgio Primo, two guys from the two top overclockers from France as well, Wizard T and Stratego San. Yeah. You had Moose 83, Pericha Bari, Tizolio, who qualified for MOA last year as well. So a very, very strong qualifier.
Yeah. So what is interesting to see, like you said, is that all those guys are actually #1 overclockers in their country, if not #2, right? So this is a very high-profile qualifier. And actually, if you look at the amount of people participating, there's 16 overclockers, you might just say it's not much, but actually, considering the requirements and the amount of work and the skill necessary to qualify, 16 is actually pretty good, representing the over like 20 plus countries in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. The cost of participation is fairly high, especially given the hardware limitation, right? Yeah. You need a Haswell CPU. You don't need just a Haswell CPU. You need 6.5 gigahertz and higher Haswell CPU. Yeah. You need to have the 290X Lightning, but also one that can overclock very high. So you need to bin the hardware before the competition, and then try to compete with these highly binned.
Okay. So what happens if they don't have, for example, if you want to participate but you don't have the bidding power to bin CPUs? Your only alternative is to look online for someone setting an extremely good CPU, and this is your key to access the qualifiers and potentially the finals.
Well, that is just the first step. So if someone has a really good CPU and a really good graphics card, that's part one. But part two is then actually setting the scores, and the scores in this qualifier were outstanding, to say. It was incredible to follow the last 30 minutes of the qualifier.
That's right. We've seen I would say a rain of records.
Oh,
like, it was like some guys were like, oh yeah, I got this record. They posted it a few days before, and then I got another record. But the way we call it in overclocking, we call that sandbagging. So pretty much what you are doing is you're keeping your scores away from the scoreboard. So you're keeping your scores all the way to the last minute, and hopefully what you expect as an overclocker is sandbagging, is that no one is going to be like, oh, this guy has a better score, I'm going to push my system a little bit more to get those extra points I could maybe have gotten. And playing the sandbagging game gives you an advantage.
Well, you don't want to show all the cards in your hand, right?
Yeah, it's like poker, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So those guys, but like we saw, there might be some drawbacks of sandbagging, which is like, okay, your score might be something wrong, and if you had posted it earlier, someone from the judges might have told you, oh, the score, there's something not right about it, so maybe you should revise it or rebench it. Or,
it's always possible to have a bugged run or something like that. So you want to make sure that you exclude those before you actually submit your final results.
That's right. So if you submit nothing and then just something in the last 5 minutes and you don't have the time to rebench, well, that score has something wrong, then it might actually be a problem. And that's what happened, for example, for one of the participants.
There's also the issue like, oh, I lost my internet, I cannot submit anymore. So then you don't qualify for the competitions.
Well, exactly. And there's also the thing like you have to go to the beer shop, right? And you might just forget to submit your result. But that's another story here. So, Trouffman, you in the last previous days, the days just before the competition, actually you had the chance to talk to some of the overclockers participating, and you had an interview with two of them, and one of them was Zizolio from Denmark. So Zizolio ended up third in those qualifiers, and he has some pretty strong results. And what I suggest is that we first hear about what he had to say just a few hours before actually the qualifiers.
So to get the record straight, the interview you will see was made on Tuesday evening. So Tuesday and Wednesday evening. So that was actually like before the end of the qualifiers. The Zizulio was first at that time, so he had to meet his scores. It was first. He had a world record in 3D Mark 03, and he had a world record in Unigine event. So he was pretty like confident about his capacity to get qualified and stay at the top. But some stuff turned out to be quite interesting. So let's watch the video and we come back right after. Welcome everyone, I'm Trouffman from OverClocking-TV. I'm here with Zizulio from Denmark that is actually competing in the MSI MOA 2014 edition. Hey man, how are you doing?
Hey, nice. How are you?
Doing great. So you're from Denmark. We saw you around a few of the competitions lately. I want to ask you, why did you compete in the MOA this year?
Well, I was in the final last year, and we have always tried to compete in MOA in Denmark since the beginning. So, this year is no difference. We always appreciate the hard work from MSI.
Yeah, indeed. It's been quite a few years they're doing this event. You're competing in Class A EMEA, so that's for Europe and Africa. How did you prepare for this event? Like, did you select some special kind of hardware according to the rules limitations? And how many liters of LN2 did you use?
Yeah, we did a lot of preparation. We bench as a team here in Denmark, so we had 3 guys, and we are trying to get at least 1 ticket and maybe 2, and 1 in B class. So it's a team effort, because none of us had the money to do it alone. So we are helping each other out, and yeah, this way we had the good CPUs, and I was benching graphics cards and pinning them, and we found a good one. So we did a lot of preparations and testing, both buying new CPUs and new graphics cards. And we have been spending a lot of LN2 this year.
Like how many liters of LN2 did you use?
600 liters plus.
Just for the qualification?
Yeah, we had a bad motherboard, so we had to get a new one. So we wasted like 300 liters on that.
Okay, I see. So that was quite a long road for you. So after all these troubles, what is the scores you're the most proud of?
That gotta be my Eugene Heaven score from, yeah, it's the world record, and yeah, it's pretty big compared to anyone else on the HWBOT. So
yeah, indeed, you were using the Radeon Airline 290X Lightning from MSI, right?
Yeah.
And yes, of course, you are having the world records by now. Actually, this interview is recorded just a few days before the end of the Class A EMEA qualifications. Do you think someone gonna take your spot for the world record of even Unigine even, or are you gonna keep that score?
I don't think anyone is gonna beat me in Eugene Heaven. I certainly hope not, but I don't think so. It's really high, and strong, so.
Okay. So far today you are first in the qualification, but it's not over yet when I did this interview with you. What is your expectation? Do you think you're going to end up first, or I think you're going to end up in the top 6 and get invited, but do you think you're going to end up first, or maybe someone going to push you down in the ranking?
Well, I'm expecting top 3, but if no one beats my 03 world record too, then it's going to be first place. So. But I know people are close to that one. So
So what is actually making you like a bit stressed to not be the first one?
Yeah, it is annoying because I know I can do more in 03, so I know I can do a better 3D Mark 03, but I have no time.
I see. So talking about better scores, are you planning on sandbagging, like keeping scores and publishing right after, just before the end of the competitions, or you already published all your scores?
I'm not gonna sandbag this year. I did last year, but not this year because I don't know. I want to have the world record, so I posted all my best scores like a week ago, last week sometime.
So you put quite a big barrier for the guys to aim for now.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not scaring new guys away that they have to compete against high scores, but.
Well, it's like worldwide competition and international competition, so that could be interesting. So, well, thank you, Julio, for this time. I hope that you will qualify for this, and we will see you at the final. I cannot disclose yet the location, but I can see you in the next few months, I guess. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Welcome everyone.
All right, welcome back, and thanks Trouffman for this interview. So as you saw, this interview was recorded a few days ago, and Zizor was actually pretty confident about his results. But as it turned out, well, some guys had some back-end scores, some guys had some actually pretty good scores to beat that score, and Zizoli ended up in the 3rd place, which is still very good actually, and he qualifies for the MOA finals, which are going to take place in October in Taipei on the 18th and 19th of October.
So this is official. We are just announcing where the final is gonna be.
Yeah, I just actually announced the dates. Well, guys, if you were not listening, you just missed it, and you have to play it back a few minutes ago, and you will know the date. Anyway, so the rankings, how it turned out after the qualifiers, that Vivi ended up 1st, Extreme Addict 2nd, Zizolio 3rd, Perica Baril on the 4th place, and Moose 83 from Germany on the 5th, and Wizardy from France. Congratulations, Wizardy. I'm French. I have to say a special word for you. Really well done on the 6th place. So, Peter, how did those last minutes of the qualifier happen? How did we ended up to that scoreboard?
Well, it's a very long story, but I would say that in the very last 30 minutes, Extreme Addict basically came in and swooped to 2nd place. He had not submitted anything before. I think 5 or 10 minutes before the deadline.
Yeah, no one knew he would participate. Well, everyone knew he would participate, but no one knew what his scores were.
And then the same goes actually for Perica, who had a couple of scores up, but he also saved his best one for the very end. Same actually goes for Vivi, and Vivi broke Cizolio's Unigine Heaven record.
That's it.
But then Cizolio came back with an even higher score. So
no,
Cizolio now actually has the world record for Unigine Heaven.
But it was not enough to take back the 1st place.
No, Vivi beat him in 3 Mark 03 by about 1,000 points or something like that. So he got one out of the 2 scores he assumed was going to be his world record. If you look at Moose 83 had sort of a different strategy. He announced to all the participants what scores he had, but he didn't submit them. So Moose 83 is fairly new to the overclocking scene, and maybe he doesn't really understand the principle of sandbagging yet. It was a very, very strange strategy to just announce what kind of scores he had.
Yeah, because it's not like poker where you're like looking at the other, hey, do you know what I got? And then basically, you say, right? People don't say what they have. That's the whole point of sandbagging.
He says exactly what he has, but he doesn't show the cards. But he said exactly what scores he had. And then Wizard T, he was actually in Taiwan during the finals, the final stretch of this qualifier.
So he could not rebench. What was submitted unless he were submitting from Taiwan. But even then, he would not have the time to rebench things.
Yes, he did not have the time to retest the entire system and set better scores. And eventually he barely made it into the top 6, but we'll see him in Taiwan anyway.
Yeah. So those guys had like an amazing final. What do you think, Trouffman, about the finals? You watched them on your side as well, right?
Yeah, I watched that on my side. Actually, as I did talk with Zizulio and another guy that we're gonna see the interview in a few minutes. I actually did watch the Twitter stream of HWBOT_esports. That's where all the latest score of the competition are posted. So on the as you can see, although on the screen now, it's like at the end of the qualifiers, there were like scores and scores and scores and scores. It's like, oh, this one is a top score. So you look at the scores like, oh, damn, that's high, that's good. And then it's like
another one.
5 minutes
Another
after,
one.
like
Another
another
one.
one. It's like push back and push back. So that was actually quite interesting to see like all this score being uploaded to the competitions and being like pushing the ranking and changing and so on. So,
especially most of those scores were actually amazing scores. It was not just extra scores that just add up and actually take the first place. Those scores are actually taking first places in each of the respective benchmarks, but they're actually world records at the same time. So in the end, how many world records were beaten during that qualifier?
Two.
Two.
Of two benchmarks. But I think so for Unigine Heaven, there was at least 3 world records set. And I think for Through Marco 3, there was 1 or 2 as well.
But so yeah, quite impressive, huh?
That's the thing that was quite insane. It's like to beat the scores of Zizulio when we did the interview, you need to have a world record. So you need to do better than what is the actual world record. So
and it's not like Zizolio's score was a bad score. Actually, when he broke the world record, it was 150 points over the previous world record.
So it was already extremely strong extra world record. It's not like a slight improvement. Oh, I got a few 2, 5 to 10 points extra.
At the moment that Zizolio submitted his first world record, everyone thought that the MSI competition was over. Everyone said he destroyed that world record. And here we are, they're 2 world records further down.
Yeah, so it was quite an amazing final. And so you, Trouffman, you had the chance to also interview Vivi, which actually ended up rampaging like the whole thing and taking over the whole rankings and actually like most of the benchmarks for this qualifiers and won the qualifiers, right?
So same thing. This video you will see, this video interview you will see with Vivi was made on the overnight of Tuesday to Wednesday, and the best things in that is Vivi was so confident, like yeah, I'm gonna destroy the thing. But you will see what he was ready to say in this video. We come back right after. Hey everyone, I'm Trouffman from OverClocking-TV, and I'm here with Godi Vivi from South Africa. Hey man.
Hey, what's up?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, awesome. Finished my MOA testing and we're all just waiting for Friday.
So actually we're doing this interview on Tuesday evening, but that will be released during the show this Saturday. So when you guys gonna see this video is actually the competition is over and all the scores are over. So we will be talking about the final scores here, not the official scores that are up on this time on Tuesday. So Vivi, just present yourself a little bit. Who are you? We know you live in South Africa, but tell us a bit more about you.
Well, I'm currently just working. Obviously, overclocking is a huge passion of mine. I've been at every MOA for a while and would really like to be at the next one and trying my best to get there. So,
actually, why do you compete in MOA? What is the purpose for that?
Well, because overclocking is our hobby and our sport, we just love any competition relating to it, to show your skills, last year's MOA I came 6th or something, and I just feel like I really would like to do better this time, so I'm just back to fight again.
Back to the battle.
Yeah, of course.
How did you prepare for the qualification of Class A EMEA?
Well, Class A this year was quite tough because you need expensive hardware and really good CPUs and really great overclockers in EMEA or EMEA. And if you don't have a 6.5 CPU, you might not make top 6. So it's really tight this year. For preparations, I just used, I think, 150 liters liquid nitrogen overall. Just learn the graphics card, learn the CPU, learn the motherboard, lots of testing, weeks of testing, and then just drop the scores in the last few weekends.
Did you actually test a lot of hardware?
No, I already had a gem CPU. So the CPU was sorted. I bought one graphics card from Gunslinger. He sold 4, and I just said, please, can I get the best one? And it just happened to be a totally awesome card. So huge thanks to Gunslinger for that. I'll see him at MOA and buy him a beer or something.
Because actually there's almost no chance that you're gonna fall off the top 6. We are Tuesday when we do this interview, but one of my questions is, are you sandbagging? So that means, are you gonna be releasing scores just before the end of the qualification?
Yeah. I wasn't. I thought, my current scores are fine. I was a little bit depressed because I killed one of my memory sticks, but by my own fault. So I thought, I'll probably qualify, so I leave my scores, but then I just decided to try once more, and I did 2 really nice runs. It's currently the world records. I don't know what it's going to be on Friday, so
so you means you have a world record, so that's either 3 Mark 03 or Unijan even.
It's both.
So you were beating Zusulio's scores.
Yes, both of them. Yeah. Yeah. That's why it's so fun at MOA, because all of us overclockers, like a month before the time, we talk. Everybody talk, share scores, share efficiencies, share tweaks, and then 1 week before the end, no one talks to anybody. It's just quiet, because we all know you need to keep your scores, and yeah, it was just 2 really great runs, and I have I beat the world record by quite a bit. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure someone might beat me even, because Moose is trying way too hard for my liking, so he might beat me, but yeah, Friday will tell.
I know that although the French guy are actually spending a lot of times right now, just before the end of the competitions the qualifications, to get some good scores out. Well, so you're going to be sandbagging. That's going to be very interesting. And what are your expectations in terms of scores and ranking in the end for the qualification?
Well, for myself, I'm thinking I would like to end first, but maybe first or second. But I don't know about. If I get to third, then there will be some epic sandbagging by someone. But I'm pretty confident in the scores I have at the moment. But I'm more interested in seeing 5th and 6th, because I know 4 really great scores already from 4 overclockers. So 5th and 6th is going to actually be a very tight spot to get.
So that's actually quite interesting to know some of the scores that's going to be going out, but without knowing exactly which one they are. You know that they are great, but you don't know exactly where they're going to rank.
Yeah, everybody has a big smile on their face when I talk to them, so everyone has some score. I just don't know what.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. I love it. Well, Vivi, thank you very much for your time for this interview. I know it was quite late for you doing it at this time.
Don't worry.
And we hope to see you. Of course, we will see you in the final later this year.
Cool. I really enjoyed. I'll see you all there.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so thanks Trouffman for that awesome interview. And actually, we could really see how confident Vivi was. Like, before submitting his score, it's pretty amazing. Like he said, like months before, everyone is talking, and then 1 week before, it's like quiet, nothing, just actually pure bluff, pure poker face, pure like. I put on my sunglasses. I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure. Keep talking, and then like some guys actually work with it and actually tell you their scores, and some just. Same thing. You don't know if they have better than you. You don't know if they have something worse than you, and you don't even know. Even if they have better, will they have time to rebench? Will they have time to push further? Is the CPU still alive? Is the CPU still dead? Who knows, right? So let's go over the top scores of that EMEA qualifier. So let's start first with the VV's 3D Marco 3 score. So. Peter, what can you see when you look at that screenshot?
Well, the first thing we see, obviously, is the 6.4 Core i7 4770K with 2 cores disabled, hyper-threading disabled as well. So it's only 2 threads. And as Vivi has indicated in his submission, that hurts the GT1 a little bit. So he was giving in a little bit of performance by reducing the amount of cores. But obviously, if you can run it at 6.4, you can win back a little bit in the other subtest. And then we see the R9 290X at 1650 by 720 GPU frequency and memory frequency, which is amazing for a 290X. It's a very solid overclock and a very good result. Evidently, it's the world record at 262,850 points.
So that graphics card, like the way he actually configured and set the different settings and tweakings in each of the specific parts, CPU and graphics card, is actually quite amazing. And this is why you get that kind of result on O3, which is a benchmark that is influenced by both CPU and graphics.
Yeah, it's a fairly old benchmark, as the O3 indicates. It's 11 years old by now. but it requires a balance between your CPU frequency and your GPU frequency. So if you have a very, very powerful graphics card but not the CPU to go with it, your score will be significantly lower, and vice versa as well. With just a really good CPU and a very bad graphics card, you're not going to get here either.
Yeah, so you were talking about some cores were disabled and things like that. So how does that actually impact 3D Mark 3, for example?
Well, Vivi indicated in the description of his result already that disabling 2 cores out of the 4 will hurt the performance in the first subtest. But in the end, it's a balance. You need to have the CPU frequency, and then you need to have a certain amount of cores in the subtest. So evidently, Vivi chose the raw CPU frequency here over having all 4 cores enabled.
So it was a pretty clever thing to do, and in the end, it succeeded very well. Since we are talking about 3D, let's move to these audio submissions for hidden benchmark in DirectX 11 mode. So that benchmark is essentially a graphic.
Yes, this is one of the few benchmarks which are very much bound by your GPU graphics. For the 290X, I would say it's even more bound towards the GPU memory frequency than it is to the GPU core frequency. So Xyala was running at 1625 by 1775, amazing overclock on the memory frequency, and the CPU only at 5.5 gigahertz.
So way lower, for example, than what the Vivi was running for 3D Mark 3.
And the result is actually quite amazing. He hit 5,836 points. Now, bear in mind that before the EMEA qualifier started, the record was about 5,650. So the record improved
quite a few points behind
200 points over the course of this qualifier. His first result was 5,700 odd points, and I mean, he improved that by another 100 points.
Yeah, so we don't know how many scores he did in between, like for the as a step up thing, but he probably run like the benchmark over actually, 20 or more times, right?
The amazing thing is that they have to make this screenshot, and on the screenshot you can actually see a couple of files. So
you can see the date, the time. So
on the screenshot we can see there is a score of 5,640. There's a screen of 5,726. So he did quite a lot of results before achieving this one.
It shows you also how much overclocking is actually not a hit and miss thing, but it's actually a gradual process of trial and error, trying new setting. Okay, not good. Okay, a little bit better. Making a screenshot because you're never sure it's gonna keep going, and then keep going up and up and up and up to all the way to the next one. So we said Vivi score 3D Mark 3. This was CPU/graphics intensive. Xyla's Heaven score was only graphics intensive, and then we are moving to Extreme Addicts. We also finished top of the SuperPy 32M ranks, and actually SuperPy 32M is like 1 core CPU.
Well, you need to have at least 2 cores to actually have it run.
Yeah, for smooth. Windows plus the.
And what's important on SuperPy 32M is you have the CPU frequency, obviously, but also you need to have very solid memory. So what we see for Extreme Addicts here, and by the way, we have to say that this is the best MSI SuperPy 32M score
it is,
ever.
What this means is pretty much it's we haven't seen any SuperPy 32M run as fast as that one.
Well, MSI
motherboard, yes.
And what he uses is a 6.6 Core i7 4770K and PSC memory at 1306.96 latencies, which is very, very tight. It's maybe not the most solid memory configuration we've ever seen, but the combination of a 6.6 gigahertz CPU and this kind of memory with the N-core at 5.5 gigahertz results in this 4 minutes 40 second SuperPy run.
Yeah, so this gave a score of 4 minutes 40 seconds and 56 milliseconds to Extreme Addict. Gave him the first spot in the SuperPy 32M stage with 25 points, and in the end this resulted in a ranking where Vivi ended up with 59 points, Extreme Addict was 57 points on the second spot, and Xyla was 54 points as a final rank. And then comes all the 3 hours, also qualified for the MOA finals in Taiwan, which we already said is going to take place on the P95.
Okay, I will just repeat that because we had some trouble with the sound. We had some trouble with the sound system.
Taipei. So Trouffman.
Yeah, wait, we had some trouble with the sound system, so I will repeat what you just said. So the 3 people that will be qualifying for this EMEA qualifications are Vivi with 59 points, Extreme Addict with 57 points, Zizulio with 54 points. So that's the 3 top score we just went through right now. There's there's 6 spots for the final in Taiwan this year. That's going to be in October 18 and 19 of October in Taipei, Taiwan. There is a Perika Bari, Moose 83, and Wizardy that although get qualified, they win a trip and a ticket to Taiwan to actually compete for the live final in October. So, and we will be there. We'll be covering that final, of course.
Yeah. So that was for Class A, and let's take a quick break and go back and let's go over some of the things that actually changed for the Class B qualifiers.
Let the games begin.
All right, welcome back. And like now we've finished talking about the Class A, so let's talk about Class B. So Class B is that class up from the MOA that is requiring less expensive hardware to compete. So pretty much what you can compete with is Z87 and Z97 motherboard. So those boards are last year's boards and this year's boards pretty much. And the same goes for the graphics card that actually are lower and don't require very high-end graphics cards. So everyone which has a graphics card from last year, for example, could still enter those qualifiers. And the CPU, well, it's the Intel Anniversary CPU, which is a CPU that, like we said, costs less than $80 to buy. So the worldwide Class B qualifiers, in quick facts, this is what it is about. And it opened actually over a month ago, and it's going to finish at the end of August, so in 2 weeks from now. And those qualifiers are open to the whole world. Everyone can qualify. And MSI, because the entry requirement are lowest, actually offers 3 seats for that final. This means a lot more competitions, right?
Yeah, that's actually what we're seeing in the B class right now as well. So the first 2 stages finished last night. Yeah. We can see that 24 people, 24 overclockers are currently trying to contend for those 3 seats in the grand final.
Yeah, so there's 24 overclockers from all over the world, and actually in those rankings we can see some pretty big names. Those are not the top major guys, because those guys are probably competing in Class A, but we are seeing people that are used to be about the top 3 of their team or things like that. So we have people, for example, from the USA, like Stipondib, which is right now still leading the rankings. We have Matros from France, which is part of the Clan OC team, which is exactly the same team where we have Wizardy that qualified for Class A, but also Strategosan. We have Mission 90 from Switzerland. We have Little Boy from Korea, Little Boy, which was actually competing in last year's MOA 2013 finals in Taipei. We have CL3P220, which is from the USA. Actually, not USA, sorry.
Oh, he is, yeah.
Oh, he is, yeah. The fly is just the flag is just displaying some kind of weird. And we have B-Boy G's, which is actually from Indonesia, also competing in there. So yeah, a lot of people, but only 3 spots. So which means right now only, if it would finish today, we would only have America, so USA, France, and one overclocker from Switzerland competing. So like you say, which were the stages that finished yesterday?
So we had SuperPi 32mm and Cinebench.
So those two benchmarks are quite different, but all based on CPU pretty much.
Yes. So as we mentioned before with Extrematic score, SuperPi 32mm is about CPU and memory performance, and Cinebench is much more. It's not really so SuperPi 32mm is a single-threaded benchmark, and Cinebench is a multi-threaded benchmark. Not so much relying on the memory frequency. So for Cinebench, you just have to push your CPU with all cores enabled as fast as possible, as high as possible.
So what we noticed in yesterday's finals, because actually those two benchmark finished yesterday, is that some of the guys submitted results in Cinebench, such as Hero, for example, which is one of the top overclockers from China today, but we haven't seen scores in SuperPi 32M from that overclocker. So what happens in such a situation?
Well, he's still in the race, of course. Yes. He gained 25 points in this one stage, and he just made it a little bit more difficult for himself to be able to win. But that doesn't mean that he cannot still win. I mean, if he wins the next 3 other stages, he's qualified for no problem whatsoever. But it's a lot more difficult, that's for sure.
It's going to be a hard time for him. And actually, this is what is so challenging about Class B this year. Like in the previous year, there were a few more seats for Class B, and it was easier for people that were not having so much money to compete, actually to try to get as much as they can to get a place. But this year it's going to be slightly more difficult. So Peter, who would be your favorite right now if you look at the actual rankings from Class B and you would have to pick someone?
Well, if we look at the top 3 right now overall, we have Stepanzi, who is well known for his capabilities in overclocking. So he's definitely a good participant in this round. I mean, he's ranked first right now, so obviously he's going to be either one of the 3 or very, very close. And then we have Little Boy and Dr. Weeze as well. A lot of names actually in this qualifier are contenders for these 3 tickets, and the big problem is there are only 3 tickets for worldwide, so the competition is very tight, and we see that in the results as well. If you look at the SuperPi 32M results, for example, you will see that the first, I think 8 or the first 10 are within 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you look at it right now, for example, Stepan, they are 4 minutes and 51 seconds, but if we go down the ranking, it actually takes all the way to the top 11 to see scores that are over 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's within the first 11 is within 10 seconds in SuperPi 32M. That's amazing. That is a real competition right there.
So this actually means all of those guys have CPUs that are capable of a very similar SuperPi 32M efficiency run. And this means, well, for the next stages, it's not going to be so much CPU bound anymore. And that's where the tweaking or the graphics card are going to play the different.
Yeah, in this Class B qualifier, we still have 2 3D benchmarks left, and obviously the 3D benchmarks are going to pose a different kind of challenge for these overclockers. So where it was finding a good CPU before in the first 2 stages, once the 3D comes up, you'll have to be able to modify your graphics card, push it as high as possible
to make a difference.
To make a huge difference. If we look at the 3D Mark 03 right now, for example, the number 1 from France, Madros, has about 10,000 points more than number 2, Dr. Weeze.
So this is going to be like we said, 3D Mark 03, even for Class A, it's a very CPU / graphics card benchmark. So it's going to be indeed like. Now we know that those guys have very similar CPUs in terms of how they can optimize and get the right frequency to run for at least CPU benchmarks. It's going to be interesting to see how those guys can manage to actually pass. And then we have benchmarks such as XTU, which has multi-core, multi-threads benchmark for CPUs. And then again, the thing is going to be completely different.
Well, XT is very interesting because it's multi-threaded but also memory dependent. So it's kind of a SuperPi Cinebench hybrid.
So it's going to be a good transition in between all those benchmarks that are actually only CPU, only the graphics card, a little bit of both. And then in 5th stage, we have 3D Mark First, right? So how is that benchmark being situated.
Well, the Firestrike and Firestrike Extreme benchmarks are very GPU dependent. So I think in this qualifier, it basically comes down to find a solid CPU, anything that can do over 6.1 gigahertz, and then be able to max out your graphics card as much as possible. So yeah, definitely the two 3D stagers are going to be the main differentiator in this qualifier.
All right, so like we said, Class B is based on the CPU from Intel, which is the Pentium Anniversary Edition. So Trouffman, you prepared before this show a quick tutorial on how the CPU can be overclocked in a very easy manner that everyone can actually do at home. It doesn't require extreme cooling like the guys are using for that kind of competition. It can actually be achieved on air or with a very good water cooling system. So what I suggest is that we'll take a quick break and then we go and have a look at your guide.
Welcome back, guys. I need to tell you that before launching the video, this was a recorded video I did this week. I will present you all the other computers I will be using. During the time of this video, we will be taking question and Q&A on our Twitch chat, so don't forget to ask us any questions. And stay tuned, because after this video we will announce who is the winner of the last week giveaway. So stay tuned and let us know the question on the live chat. And here we go. Hi, I'm Trouffman from OverClocking-TV, and today I will explain you how to overclock this system right here up to 4 GHz. Today we are using G3258 CPU from Intel. This one is the special Intel Pentium Anniversary Editions. We're using a Z97X Power AC mainboard from MSI. We're using the Cooler Master V1200 PSU. It's a Platinum PSU from Cooler Master. We're using Trident X 8GB kit from G-Skill. We're using the MSI GeForce GTX 750 Ti, so it's an NVIDIA GPU on it. And we are also using the HyperX 120GB SSD. This is from Kingston. So right now, as you can see here, it's like 25 degrees Celsius here in my room, in my testing room. This is actually the default cooler you can have with the G3258, and we're trying to overclock this with regular air cooling, like anyone can do it, up to 4 GHz. So let me switch back to the computer. If we look at what we have on the screen is, here's my desktop. What I want to show you is the actual frequency running on these computers. Right now it's all by default, so it's like I just bought everything out of the shop, plugged that right in my computer on my desk, and this is what you get out of the box. A 3.2 GHz CPU, so that's the G3258 right here. And although my memory is at 800 MHz, so that's like a 1600 MHz memory. So let's find out what we can do with this. We will be using the Intel Extreme Tuning utility. This tool is designed especially by Intel to allow people to change some settings and although benchmark what we need. So the most important part for us is the benchmarking tab. You have system information where you can have information about your systems. You can have manual tuning where you can change some of the settings according to the different settings you want in your computers. Stress test is to check if everything is stable. And the most important things for us is benchmarking. Let's run the benchmark and explain what's going on at the same time. So what is a benchmark? A benchmark is a workflow, like a load on your computer, like a calculation that it needs to be done. It's always exactly the same one, and with this you can actually compare different settings and different computer with each other. So it's like, let's say you count from 1 to 10 and the one that count the faster gain more points. So we will let the benchmark run. It's taking between 2 and 6 minutes depending on the performances of your computer, and we'll come back in a few seconds to see what's happening. So the benchmark is still running and it's close to finish now. What we are doing is to compare the actual performances of this computer right out of what you can buy from the shop and see how we can improve that over time by overclocking the CPU. So let's switch back to the computers. The benchmark is finished by now. It's 236 marks, so that's the amount of points we have. Our CPU is actually running at 3.2 gigahertz, and the memory frequency is about 1600 megahertz. This is the default performances for this CPU and this computer at this time. So right now we'll shut down this and reboot and try to overclock up to 4 gigahertz. So let's quit and restart. So we press del. So here is the BIOS of the Z97 mainboard, the D97X Power AC mainboard from MSI. There's a few settings we want to change to be sure that we can overclock as much as we want. I will go quickly into it. I want to deactivate some of the special smart settings features of the CPU. So for example, here it says simple or advanced mode. I can say advanced, but that is not a big issue. Here I want to put, let's say, 4 gigahertz. I don't want the EIST, that's the Intel Speed Step technology. This is a technology that will allow you to lower the CPU frequency and lower the multiplier to save power and although to eat less. So when your CPU is not used for anything, it's just slowing down by itself, and when you need it, just overclock back to what is needed. So we want to deactivate or disable this. What else can we do? We also want to fix the CPU ratio. The difference between why we do want to have fixed, that means it will stay always at 40 multiplier. The way we obtain the CPU frequency is taking the bus frequency, multiplying that by the multiplier. So let's say you have a base frequency of 100, that is actually what is most of the time used for the latest CPU from Intel, and you have the multiplier. Let's say the default settings was 32, so it's like 32 times 100, that's 3200, so that's 3.2 gigahertz. Now we want to go to 4 gigahertz, so we put 40 times 100 and it's like 4 gigahertz. Let's go back to the screen. What else do we want to deactivate? The ring ratios can stay like this, everything else can stay like this. The DRAM frequency, our memory can actually do DDR3 2400, sorry. So let's say we put 2400 here, because we know that the memory we are using, the G-Skill Trident X, are actually capable of doing that. You're not obliged to change the settings right here. You can actually just leave everything in auto, restart, and see what's going on. So this is actually quite simple by now. I want to deactivate just a few things in the CPU features. We want to be sure that all the cores are activated. I want to disable the C states. I want to disable the thermal monitors. You're not, you can keep that on if you want, but it will just save you trouble if your overclocking is not going through. All this will be okay. Disable the limitation, keep this in auto. Should be fine by now. So this is how the settings we will be using for our try to 4 gigahertz. Maybe it will work, maybe not. If you want to save, we just save the settings in the BIOS, and we can then reuse that later. So let's say I want to say to save here, save overclocking profile, yes. With this, that means that if my computer crash and it's not working, I can just start again, clear the settings, start again, and reload the settings if I want. So next time I can boot, I will see what's going on. So let's go to the hardware monitor now. as we are overclocking, it could be interesting to change the way our fan speed is. So right now we are just using the default CPU cooler, but maybe I want to have more than that. So let's say I want to set everything at full speed. So all the fans, I want them to go as much as they can, as fast as they can. Up, that's fine. And now, nope, I want F10, so that's to save the configuration and reset. You say yes, and that will reboot the configuration, and that will try to reboot the configuration at 4 GHz. Let's see if this is working. We are now back on the desktop. We're supposed to be at 4 GHz, so we'll check right now with CPU-Z. CPU-Z is the tool we mostly use to check the CPU and memory frequency. As you can see, we are right now at 4 GHz. It's 40 times 100. So actually it's like 99.99, but it's like 100. And if we look at the memory, oh, the memory is like 1200, so that means 2400 the memory frequency. So right now we're at 4 GHz. We're still using the basic CPU cooler you have with the you buy when the CPU. It's actually like 26 degrees in 26 degrees C in my room here. So let's see if we can test again the Intel Extreme Tuning utility. We call that Intel XTU, to see the improvement in performances for that. As you can see, the 4 GHz is detected here, and let's run the benchmark. The benchmark is running, and you can see in the bottom right here, you have the CPU utilization, you also have the CPU core temperature and the frequencies. Why do we graph these three? The first reason to graph the CPU utilization is to see that the CPU is under heavy load, so it's calculating a lot of things. The CPU core temperature is actually quite interesting to see, to not go too high to damage the CPU. There is a very little risk you can damage your CPU just by the heat. This is because if it's getting too hot, it will slow down itself as a protection. But we did deactivate that. As a rule of thumb, don't go over 90 degrees 95 degrees, 90 degrees C on your CPU. Above that, there are some risks that it will actually throttle, and the throttling is how it reduces itself to not eat that much. And the last time why we do have the frequency here, because when we have the speed step or the turbo boost mode enabled, the CPU frequency can change according to the load. So we'll wait until the end of this benchmark and see what are the improvements we just made in the last few minutes. Now that we did overclock to 4 GHz, we are having a score of 296 marks. So I'm gonna save these settings to G3258 at 4 GHz. It's already some of my settings right here. Save, yes. And if I want to find back the different profile I use, as you can see on the right, the thing I use are saved as well as the score. So if I want to go back to a certain score or a certain settings, I can still jump by it with the profiles. So as you can see, we are at 4 GHz. We're still using the CPU cooler that is sold with the system. If we want to overclock more, we can actually press some of the button on the main board. MSI have some special button on the main board to overclock the systems. So if I push up, it's 41. Then if I push up again, it's again 42. So that's 4.2 GHz. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm Trouffman from OverClocking-TV. Don't forget to find us on Twitter at OverClocking-TV, on Facebook, as well on our Twitch channel and on our website. And don't forget, until then, keep pushing it. that's you.
All right, guys. Thanks, Trouffman, for this guide. I think it was pretty amazing, and this is how you guys can overclock your Pentium Anniversary Edition from stock with the stock cooler all the way from to 4.2 gigahertz. Actually, quite amazing, if I might say. So now
Whoa,
it's time
that's
to.
amazing.
Yeah, now it's time to actually announce the winner of last episode's giveaway. So last show number 2, we were giving away a GTX 760 gaming graphics card by MSI. So we had over 1,500 entries for that competition, and most of you guys got the answer right, which was who won the qualifiers for the American qualifiers to MOA, and the answer was Arbuas, which is the top overclocker from Brazil. So we had like a lot of people, like probably 90% of you guys got the right answer, and the winner for this one is Antonio Lacopone. So I'm not sure I pronounced it right, but Antonio, congratulations, you are coming home with a MSI GeForce GTX 760 gaming graphics card. So congratulations. So now it's time to announce what we are giving away for this week. So this week we are giving away an MSI motherboard, and this time it's going to be a gaming motherboard from the M series, which means it's actually a mini ITX motherboard, micro XTX, sorry, motherboard. So to win that motherboard, there's also again one question you guys need to answer, and we gave the answer to that questions 2 times, if I recollect right, in the show, which is the answer to the question when is going to take place the MSI MOA worldwide finals in Taipei. So what you need to answer is the dates, and those dates are, I'm going to tell you, right? So Trouffman, let's show the guys how to participate. Basically what you have to do is open your browser, go to the Facebook OverClocking-TV page, which is showed right now on the screen, scroll slightly down and click on the Road to MOA number 3 giveaway tab, which is on the left sidebar. Click on that and enter the contest. What we need from you is basically just your name, your email address, and the answer to the question, and then we will pick in 2 weeks the winner for that question. All right, so before we say goodbye to all you guys and announce when it's going to be the next show, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with all those details. All right, welcome back, guys, and this is we are reaching actually the end of this show. Before we are saying goodbye to all of you guys, would like to announce the dates and times for the next show, which is going to cover the APAC Class A qualifiers for this MOA, as well as the Class B worldwide rankings of the qualifier, because those are actually going to finish on the exact same time. So those are scheduled to be finished at the actual exact same date. We are going to host the show on August 31st. So if you guys would like to join the next show and find out who won for this week's giveaway, you have to tune in on the OCTV, so twitch.tv/overclocking-TV channel in 2 weeks on Sunday, August 31st at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 a.m. GMT +1. And yeah, so on that date, hope to see you all, guys, and we're going to announce the winners and also go over all the details of the qualifiers. So Peter, what can we expect from this next show? It's going to be quite exciting, I hope.
Well, we're of course waiting for the results to come in from the APAC final, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to see some amazing results from Indonesia, probably Japan, maybe China, from Australia probably as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's true. Usually the Australian guys are quite impressive in any online competitions, and we should see some pretty good scores coming out of that region. So guys, if you have any questions about what we said during the show, what Trouffman said during his up to 4.2 gigahertz guide on the Intel anniversary edition chip, just stay on the chat. We will be staying here for about 30 minutes, an hour, answering your questions. So don't be shy, just ask what you want to know, and we will be there to answer your question. I would like to thank Trouffman for being the producer of this show. You did a great job again, Trouffman. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for being good presenters. Thank you, Massman, for being here.
Yeah, and we will be seeing you guys in 2 weeks again at this exact same place. So stay tuned, and thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.